Talk health. Talk wealth. Talk politics. Talk 1470 and 95.3 FM. WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want some gentle encouragement.
Then you're on your way to your GED diploma and a better life.
But I know they're probably just a little bit nervous. You can find it in yourself to take that first step.
You can improve your future. You can do this. I know you can.
You need to start pushing yourself.
Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need to get your GED diploma, we've got a pep talk that's right for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and find free GED classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
1470 AM and 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. Tune in for Spiritual Downloads with your host, Anna Stevenson, Saturdays at 4 p.m. WNN.
Lupus. It's one of the cruelest, most mysterious diseases on Earth. Lupus strikes without warning, can ravage any part of the body, and has no known cause and no known cure. Its health effects range from a skin rash to a heart attack. Lupus is an unpredictable and misunderstood disease that's difficult to diagnose, hard to live with, and a challenge to treat. Help us solve the cruel mystery. We're the Lupus Foundation of America, the only national force devoted to solving the mystery of lupus. We lead the fight to improve the quality of life for all people affected by this devastating disease. To learn more about lupus and how we can help those who suffer from its brutal impact, visit us online at lupus.org or call the Lupus Foundation of America at 1-800-558-0121. That's 1-800-558-0121.
Taking over-the-counter or prescription drugs unnecessarily is a drag, whereas feeling great like you used to is the way it ought to be. Learn how to feel, function, and perform to your full health potential. Tune in to the Dr. Bob Martin Show, Sunday morning at 10 on Talk 1470 WNN.
Go to your app store and download the WNN app on your Android or iPhone. And never miss a Talk 1470 minute.
If you've put off dental work because you thought you couldn't afford it, I want you to call my dentist, Dr. Michael Blum. Bring him any advertised price, any print ad on any dental procedure, including crowns, caps, and porcelain veneers. Dr. Blum will meet or beat it. Call 954-463-4999. That's 954-463-4999 or online at blumdentist.com.
Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear. Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Schub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Schub, and like we always do, we're going to talk a bunch of golf and travel. Got some great deals for you later on in the show so we can send you out of town or perhaps fly some friends into town. You never know. And, of course, we've got a wonderful guest that will be joining us in just a little bit, an old friend of mine. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Daphne's, and that is I guess, the most popular head cover company out there. They're the ones that make all those really cool animals that you see, the cute animals that you see on the top of anybody's clubs pretty much anywhere, including the pros when you watch it on tour. So we're going to find out a little bit about how Jane started this company and the business that she does. And she recently was at the Phoenix Open hanging out with some of her pro friends out there, so she always has a good story to tell. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. Of course, we start off the show, we talk a little bit of golf. That's kind of the way we start things, and then we move on to some travel news and some travel deals and our guests and whatnot. So why don't we just jump right into it? There's a bunch of things going on in the world of golf, and I'll just touch on a couple of them. First of all, the number one woman golfer in the world is Lydia Ko, and she has been number one for 77 straight weeks, dating back to October of 2015. But she's been kind of losing her grip on that number one position, and the folks behind her are catching up. And she came under a lot of criticism because of who her coaches were and her parents' involvement, and she's just been making changes left and right, it seems. She's changed the clubs that she plays. And now it seems that her caddy, Gary Matthews, after just 9 events, she seems to have fired him. And he's an accomplished guy. I mean, he's been around. I think he was Sergio's caddy for a while, too. So hopefully Lydia will get her act together and stop falling, even though she's still number one. I guess the positive thing is she's listened to some criticism and she's taking some steps. Hopefully they're the right ones. The other thing that we hear a lot in the news that doesn't have much to do with playing is Tiger Woods. And, of course, we hear a lot about him, especially here locally, because he lives, right in my county. So you're always going to hear a lot about him. And earlier this week, he came out and said that his back is progressing, but he's not quite ready to commit to a return date, and he has his good days and bad days. And then, 2 days later, he came out and said that he just had back surgery. So that, I don't know, it just doesn't sound all that honest. I don't know. I still believe that he is not going to play for a very long time. Hopefully he does one day, and maybe it won't be until he turns 50, which is another 7 or 8 years or so, and he'll be eligible to play on the Champions Tour. But he was... not long ago, he signed a new sponsorship deal. He signed several of them. Of course, they're not the magnitude that they were when he was the number one golfer in the world. But he signed with Bridgestone, and you see a lot of commercials with him out there playing golf and hitting the Bridgestone ball. And I truly believe that he's been trying to make it appear for the longest time that he's coming back, any minute, any day, just to appease, I think, his sponsors that would like to see him out there on TV every week. And he just can't do it. So, but he was in the news, interestingly enough, for something else that had nothing to do with his back, and it had nothing to do with golf or playing golf. And that was this week, the Champions Tour is playing at a place called Big Cedar Lodge. And it is in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri. And this particular lodge, which has multiple golf courses, it's owned by the same guy that owns Bass Pro Shops. And this week, the Champions Tour is playing there. And what's cool about it is that the event is played on a par 3 golf course. So it's the only professional golf event of that caliber, anyway, played on a par 3 course. But the course itself and the scenery is just breathtaking. So this week, an announcement was made that Tiger's company is designing a new golf course at this property. And what's cool about it is I suppose he's only designed a couple of golf courses so far. I don't even know how many of them are actually open, or even a few of them got abandoned, I believe. But for the most part, I think they've all been private. So if you want to play one of his designs, you haven't been able to. So this one you will be able to. It's obviously going to take a couple of years before it's built. And again, that whole part of the country is just breathtaking. So it seems to me that you may want to check it out. I'd like to check it out, actually, see if I can get one of my tournaments or meetings that I do every once in a while on the road. Unfortunately, a lot of the ones that I've been planning have been in February, and I'm not so sure about the weather in Missouri if it's golf weather. So I don't know. Also, little local golf news. I happen to be playing in a tournament tomorrow at, where is it? Spring Lake Country Club in Sebring. And it's for a group called the Redneck Yacht Club. So, don't even ask, but they're a really good group, and they are raising money for scholarships for students in Okeechobee, I believe, Okeechobee High School students, and they do a lot of work in that region. So I'm going to be playing in that tomorrow. And there's another tournament tomorrow that I would have loved to have attended, and I've been talking about it on and off for the past couple of months, and we actually had the gentleman on the show several months ago who started this event a year ago, and this is going to be the second annual Ralph Cochran charity golf tournament. And so like I said, this is also Saturday, tomorrow, April 22nd, and it benefits Food for the Poor, a wonderful organization that helps poor people. And I believe, let's see, they help people in 17 countries, primarily in the Caribbean and Latin America. And they've been helping literally people who have no food and no housing and stuff like that. So they do wonderful work. And they actually still have a couple of playing spots left, I heard, as of yesterday. So if you want to play, this event is, again, it's tomorrow. Tee times begin at 1 p.m., so you got a little bit of time, unlike the event that I got to wake up at 4:30 to go play in. So it's at Mayaku Lakes Country Club on Mayaku Club Drive in West Palm Beach. And the festivities begin at 11:30 in the morning with registration, and then they also have a light lunch. And if you're interested in playing, they can still squeeze you in. You can give Kyra Poulos, Poulos, a call at 954-427-2222, extension 6634. And if that's too much trouble, you can drop her an email, KRAP, KYRAP, at foodforthepoor.com. And like I say, it's just a great kid who put this thing together, and a wonderful event. And they're planning to raise about $50,000 for a school to be built in Jamaica that Raf says that he's going to be building. And he says that he wants people to have fun at his event while raising money. So the kid really knows what's going on. I give him a lot of credit. I wish I could be there to play in it as well. It's either I never play or I have multiple events the same day and the same week. And I'll be playing in another tournament a week from today in Orlando, and driving straight down from the tournament to talk to all of you. So I wouldn't miss this for anything. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. I occasionally miss it for something. But in any event, I think that's enough golf talk for the moment. In just a few minutes, we'll be talking head covers and with our guests. So I do have a lot of travel news and a lot of deals. So I think what I'm going to do is jump a little bit onto the travel side and just talk a little bit about what's been going on. Now, of course, we spoke last week about the incident on United, and it's caused a lot of changes as far as policies for bumping passengers. And it came out that Delta has changed their compensation policy after hearing about what went on with United. And they actually will now be able to offer up to almost $10,000 if you voluntarily agree to be bumped and rebooked on another flight. So obviously they're not going to just come right out and offer that right away. But if nobody is taking the bait at, when they offer you $300 and $500 and $600 and, a night's lodging or whatever, they have the ability to go up to $10,000, and they don't beat you. So that's also a plus if you're going to choose to fly Delta instead of United. So it seems all of this has just changed everything. And in a little bit, I'm going to also talk about it's even starting to make an impact on the hotel business, because I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but they do the same thing with overbooking too. So it's very possible that they may sell, 2,100 rooms when they only have 2,000 rooms, and there's 100 people, that may show up or may not. Their statistics say that a certain amount of people are going to be no-shows, but I've had that happen to me as well. And there are some hotels that do a better job of that and some hotels that do a worse job of it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But I did want to give kudos at least to Delta that they have seen the problems that their competitor had, and they're trying to take some steps to make sure that their customers don't have to deal with that. All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and in just a moment or two, we will be back with our guest, Jane Spicer, the Chief Executive Officer for Daphne's Head Covers. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned for more of the Golf and Travel Show.
that feels so strange. Hitting on the back of the range, not making a dime.
And we are back. And if your business needs industrial workers, or if you're looking for work, you got to call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places for temporary or temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions such as plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, forklift operators, hospitality or office clerical, and so much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and in Jupiter. So if you need legal insured workers, or if you're looking to work, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or visit laborfinders.com. And we are back. And just like Bruce says, your drivers and other clubs are probably saying the same thing. They want to be covered, but they want to be cool. And if you want your clubs to be covered and be cool, you need to know about Daphne's. And to find out about Daphne's, we've got none other than their Chief Executive Officer, Jane Spicer, with us tonight. Jane, are you there?
I'm here.
Well, thank you for calling. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. We typically only get to talk once a year, so I figured we'd break that tradition this year.
I like that idea.
There you go. Now, last time we spoke, you had told me that you're going to have a great time at the Phoenix Open, and we got to talk about that. But before we talk about that, I want you to recount briefly or summarize the blog post that I read that you recently posted, which spoke a little bit just about your origins and your beginning, and I thought it was fascinating. Whenever I have a guest on, I always want to kind of go back to the beginning and find out what compelled them to get into this crazy business and how it all kind of started. So why don't you give us a little bit of that?
Oh, sure. When I was 10 years old, I asked my mom, Daphne, the company's namesake, for a sailboat. And she said, think of a business and earn it yourself. So with her help, I started making stuffed toys and selling them. And I sold enough to friends and neighbors, and I bought the sailboat. The sailboat then morphed into puppets. And a customer suggested that we turn them into golf club covers. And my mom stepped in again and bribed me. She was nearly 16. And she said, I tell you what, if you sell enough of these, I'll buy you a car. So we made a birdie, an eagle, and a bogey, because that's what we thought golfers would like. And I went out and I gave a lot of really bad sales pitches. But I wanted the car, so I just persisted. And I sold enough head covers, I got the car. And Daphne's Head Covers was born. And now, rolling forward, we're in 75 countries. And I'm still making head covers.
Now, a lot of your success, I believe, you kind of took off a little bit with Tiger Woods. We were talking about him a little bit earlier, how he's kind of had his ups and downs, and that's just this week. But you had the opportunity to work with him as well, correct?
Absolutely, yes. Tiger has carried our Tiger head cover his entire career. So we've been with him with Titleist and with Nike and American Express and the whole journey along the way. It's been absolutely fabulous.
Now, I mean, obviously you did the Tiger for him, and when you started out, you had, and I don't know who would want the bogey, the birdie for sure, but in any event, somehow you got into animals, and so how did that all happen, and now you've got more animals than any zoo I've ever seen?
You know, we're just a family of animal lovers. My house not only was filled with, lots of animals and the animal head covers and puppets that we were designing, but all kinds of strays, and, we were always rescuing, and it was just part of our passion. So one animal morphed into another based on customer suggestions. People would call and say, oh, I love lions. Would you make that? Well, I have a schnauzer. Could you make that? And we just listen to the suggestions still. And the most that we get each year, we try to design, too.
Now, how do you make them look so realistic?
Oh, well, I have to tell you that on my in-basket today, and I have a neighbor who told me my in-basket is quite unusual, and I understand most people have paper in it. I have a dragon and a dachshund with several of its snouts, trying to get it thin enough. So we really, really look whether we're going to see the specific breed or we're studying things. We're constantly watching and looking to make things as realistic as possible. For me, if somebody looks at something and says, "What's that supposed to be, Dan?" I feel like I failed Daphne's head covers.
I've got your gopher next to me on a microphone here, right to my right here. He's quite real as well.
Oh.
So I took a picture of him earlier. He's on my the show's Facebook page, so you can see him. I don't believe it or not, that did not come directly from you. You sell so many of these that one day, a couple of months ago, my boss came to me with a box of golf stuff that someone sent to him, and it was just an assortment of stuff. And sure enough, your gopher was in there. So,
oh, I love that.
I know your stuff truly gets around. Now, when you just obviously, well, what was the first animal that you actually started with?
I don't completely remember. I know it was part of it was either the birdie, eagle, and bogey, or it might have been a beaver.
Okay. And so how is it, with all the suggestions and the ideas? I mean, obviously it's not unlimited every year. So who decides? I mean, do you have a committee that gets together and you vote to see what animals you're going to introduce each year?
Well, we take customer suggestions all year long, and then we look at the top suggestions that we have, Dan, and then we go in, we try to design all of them. And sometimes we can get them, and sometimes things are 2 or 3 or 4 years in the making. But we start on that list with an idea of doing anywhere between 6 and 12 new designs, and then it's solely dependent on our creative ability and access to materials at that time.
Now, when you first started in this business, my guess is it was mostly head covers for drivers, right? But these days, people are using head covers for all different kinds of clubs. So how do you work around that with the hybrids and all the other stuff that's out there?
Well, it keeps us on our toes, for sure. Daphne's was the first company to come out with head covers that had graphite shaft covers many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then we really had to blow our head covers up big. Remember when the clubs went past 460cc and there were the 500cc's?
Yep, sure.
So we had to change everything there. And now Daphne's has, for our hybrids, we have a SureFit invention patented on there, because each hybrid is still slightly different, so that you can actually custom fit your particular hybrid. So we're constantly watching. What I want at Daphne's as the CEO is that our head cover is the best head cover you'd ever have. Really, truly a functioning head cover to protect your driver or your fairway wood or your hybrid. And then over and above that, it's in the shape of something that will make you smile.
And speaking of making you smile, I mean, being here in Boca Raton, there's a lot of country clubs. And, what kind of, do you ever get feedback or letters from people when they get something really unique and they show it off at their club? Because I know everybody around here is always trying to brag about the latest new thing that they got.
Oh, yeah, we get wonderful letters. And we get really heartwarming and some gut-wrenching. We had a dad whose son was overseas. And he was deployed in our military, and he'd given him the Black Lab head cover because that was their family dog. And his son was badly injured, and he came back and somebody had stolen the Black Lab. And, he was beside himself. And then when he got it back, it looked like somebody's dog had chewed it, and he sent it to us. And it was just, not only do I not have my son, but then this happened to my head cover that he gave me. We repaired the whole thing and sent it back to him and thanked his son for his service. So we have some things that they end up, they have a lot of sentimental meaning. And we get some beautiful notes, and we also get some ancient head covers, because Daphne's come with a lifetime guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
And people will say, please repair this. And we'll say, can we replace it? Because it's terrible. And they'll say, oh, absolutely not. This was a gift from my wife, or I won it in a tournament, or my grandson gave it to me. You cannot replace it. Please repair it. And sometimes we end up building a whole other head cover inside it, so that as it falls apart, they still have their beloved head cover. So we get some really beautiful stories.
Now, somebody asked me today, is it possible to clean these? And I didn't know the answer. I mean, I know obviously you try and wipe off your club with a towel before you put the head cover back on and stuff. But, she's not a golfer, and she says, well, doesn't it get really dirty? What do you do? Is there any truth to that?
Oh, sure. I mean, it depends on how you play golf and where you throw your clubs or your head covers. You can hand wash them in the sink, just like hand wash like any of your delicates, And then if you take the high heat of a blow dryer, the fake fur responds to that, and you blow dry it. I do have customers that send them to the dry cleaner. I've not done that, but
it's just funny. That's all.
That can also be done. Yeah, I just spot wash mine if they get something mucky on them.
Very, very, very funny. So now we had teased a little bit earlier that you went, or every year I suppose you go to the Phoenix event, which of course is a crazy event where everybody is just nuts out there, and you have an opportunity to talk to some of your clients who are famous golfers, of course. You got any good stories from this year's event?
Well, I met a new golfer, and I put my foot in my mouth at the PGA show. A very nice man came and was talking to me and said he might want a pink flamingo and he would be playing at the Phoenix Open.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, that's great. And he said, I play in a band. I said, oh, that's cool. He said, what kind of music? He said, country. I said, okay. And then I said, well, wait a minute, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm the opener at the Bird's Nest. And so I said, are you... So there was a man with him, and I said, am I putting my foot in it? And he said, well, this is Jake Owen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a country music star. I went, oh, I didn't know. It couldn't have been nicer. And we brought him a pink flamingo. I walked a few holes with him. Nice guy. You know, just his smile as big as his heart. And so that was really, really fun. And he was nice because he was quite forgiving about me being absolutely clueless. So
it may be actually refreshing to him, you know. I'm sure it happens once in a blue moon, and he probably is tired of everybody fawning all over him.
Yeah, so it was great, and I'm very honored he's carrying the pink flamingo, and you know, so it's but it's a fun weekend. I would encourage anybody who can ever come out and be at the Phoenix Open to watch some golf and some mayhem in a beautiful setting to make it at least a once in a lifetime trip, if not every year.
Now, let's get down to business, okay, because we're almost out of time. And I know that we've got Mother's Day coming up. We got Father's Day coming up. So if people would like to find out about actually acquiring these or giving them as gifts, what's the best way? Can they find them at any retailers? Is online the best approach? What might they cost?
You should be able to find Daphne's head covers at your favorite golf shop. You know, just ask for them. They know them. You can find us at Dick's Sporting Goods, PGA Tour stores. And if you go online and Google Daphne's head covers, you can find your famous, your favorite retailer there. The average retail per driver is about $29.99. And I have to put this in, we're the only head cover in the world that comes with a lifetime guarantee. So if anything's wrong with your head cover ever, we'll repair or replace it at Daphne's.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you know, the fact that you have so many things to offer, you know, whether it's your favorite animal or whether it actually looks just like your pet, it's uncanny. I mean, every year I take a look at all of them and I just can't believe how realistic they look. So, you know, and I know that there are so many people out there who play golf and nobody knows what to buy them as a gift. So this might very well be something that they don't have that would certainly make them happy. So I recommend it. Like I say, I'm looking at the gopher and he's winking at me, so he recommends it. So, and of course, if you want to take a look at the line, because I'm looking at the tag that's still on the gopher here, Daphne'sHeadcovers.com, you can go to and learn a lot more about all of the products that's there. And between you and me, I can't wait till January comes around, because every time I see you, you've got a smile on your face, and you're one of the happiest people that I see at the PGA Merchandise Show every year.
Oh, I look forward to seeing you, too, and my show wouldn't be the same if you didn't stop by and see me.
Well, the only problem is that you're always so busy selling these head covers, it's hard to even talk to you for a minute. So you're also probably one of the busiest booths at the show, but that's a good thing. So I hope that you have a great season selling for these holidays coming up, and hopefully all of our listeners will contribute to that, and we'll talk again soon.
Jen, thank you very much. I really appreciate being on the show.
My pleasure. That was Jane Spicer, Chief Executive Officer of Daphne's Head Covers. Daphne's